go in as far as, I'm going to start with the resume. Some of you may already have a resume in place. I don't know. So I'm going to pretend as though none of you have a resume. And I want to make sure that you have everything in place. So on your blank sheet of paper, on the top center, I want you to put your full name. And it's your birth name. A lot of kids, what they tend to do is sometimes put their nicknames. You need to have whatever your God-given name is, okay? On the second line, and remember, it's in the middle, it's in the center, top center. Put your address, your street address. And then underneath that, put your city, state, and your zip code. And then put your email address. Okay, does anybody need more time?
Just like that.
Okay, so then skip 2 spaces, and then on the left side of your paper, write the word education. And then on the next line underneath that, put what school you attend. Then underneath that, put, if you know it, grade point average. Write the word grade point average, and then colon. Kathy, you're my English teacher, right? Is that dot is a colon? What is that?
Yes.
So your colon, and then if you know your current grade point average, go ahead and put it. If you don't, that's something you really need to find out, okay? And remember, the current grade point average you have is after this semester, the semester that ended in December, okay? So of course, when you all finish school in June, you'll get your completed grade point average for your junior year. Do I have any sophomores here?
I'm a sophomore.
So I have one sophomore?
Yeah, there should have been 2 or 3, but Joaquin, I think, is the only one that's here.
Okay, so for you as a 10th grader, when you finish this school year, you'll have up to 10th grade, okay? And so that's real important because that's going to be asked of you in your college application. And then underneath that, go ahead and put right in class rank and then your colon.
Miss Sandoval, I have a question.
Sure.
For the GPA, do you recommend doing it on a 4.0 scale or the numerical?
Give it whatever your school does. Now, some of them will ask for the 4.0 or the 4 point whatever, but for the most part, they'll convert it themselves. So whatever your school does, your district, go with that. And then go ahead and skip 2 lines, and underneath that, write in academic awards / honors. Now, who can tell me what are some examples of an academic award or honor that maybe you've received or you know
of? For me, can be the Spanish Honor Society.
Perfect. So what you would do is you would write Spanish, underneath that you would write Spanish Honor Society, and then when you were admitted to the society, you know, the year, and then you would put dash to the present, okay? So it would be, let's say, when did you get into the Spanish Honor Society?
I decided to get in it this year since you have to be in a specific Spanish level to enter.
So you got it in 2020, right?
Yes.
So you put 2020 dash and then write the word present, meaning to the present time, okay? Do I have anybody in National Honor Society? So that also is an academic award or honor. So it would be National Honor Society. And when you got in, the year, dash present. All right. Another one would be, is anybody in the Vocational Honor Society? Have you all received anything in the mail attributed to academic awards, anything like that? Okay, do I have any questions on that one?
Ms. Sandoval, can you give us more examples of like academic awards you've seen or heard of?
Well, like for instance, that one, definitely National Honor Society, Vocational Honor Society, because what happens is I was told that some of you are in the magnet program. Is that correct? Does that, yes?
Ashley,
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
Some of you, maybe science fair, honorable mention science fair, who's who, American high school students, New Mexico State University Alumni Award for Academic Achievement, anything attributed to grades or something academic that you've participated in. Okay. Now, if that doesn't hold true for you, that's okay, then you won't put that in. But I always include that because a lot of students will have that. So if you can think of anything else, then just go ahead and ask me. So underneath that, I need to know if any of you are involved in athletics.
Yeah, I
Anyone
think a good majority of the people here are.
involved in athletics?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you write in athletic activities dash awards / honors.
Rosemary, this is Dee. While they are entering that information, my question is if some of our members or some of the kids attending are in the International Baccalaureate program, is this the section to list that?
And the academic, it would be in the academic, the IB program. And write the full thing, International Baccalaureate, because you can't assume that they know, which they do for the most part, but you always want to write out the full name. So okay, so give me an example of an athletic activity you're involved in. Michael, are you involved in an athletic activity?
I'm in band, but I don't know if that counts here.
No, we'll do that
Okay.
on in extracurricular. Okay. How
Charlie's in
about,
gymnastics.
okay, so if let's say gymnastics, so you write gymnastics and you put the year that you began gymnastics up to current, which would be dash present if you're currently in it. Okay. Now, underneath that, in your gymnastics, have you received awards in competitions?
So he's lettered. He's also been to district and regionals. How would he write that?
So, okay, give me an example for regional. What place?
What did you place at regionals?
He placed at district to make it to regionals.
Okay, so he got first place in district. How was it?
Sixth place all around at district to go to regional.
So he would put that 6th place all around district. And what is it? Is it particular area? Is it? But you said it's all around.
It was all around, which is a specific event to be able to advance.
Okay, so 6th place all around. So he would put that.
Okay, thank you.
And then when he gets to regionals, if he gets placed there, then he puts that. And you're next to that, you put what year? Okay.
And would he put a separate entry for each year and each competition?
Yes. Okay. And you'll understand why as we continue. All right.
I also
How
have
about
a
it?
question.
Go ahead.
So what if we did a sport, but we don't do it anymore?
Okay, but you did it in high school, right? The sport?
Yes.
Okay, so what sport was it?
It was tennis.
Okay, so go ahead and put tennis and then the years that you were in tennis.
Okay.
Did you get any awards?
Yes.
And you go ahead and list those underneath that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And anybody else?
Miss Sandoval, do you recommend we put these activities in a specific order, like in chronological?
No, that's not going to matter. I mean, if you want to be that precise, you can, but really it doesn't matter. You'll understand why once you go into the application process. Okay, does anybody, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do we need to put any kind of, I mean, I know everyone's aware of the pandemic, but it really disrupted sports last year, and it's going to leave a gap on his resume to make it look like he didn't advance or do anything last year, but that's untrue. How do we notate that to show that he was active in participating last year, but actually all of their district was canceled the day of the meet because of COVID last year? How do we notate that without it looking like he didn't participate?
Well, you would still put from when he started to present. So they would know, hey, he was still involved in it.
Okay. All right.
You
Thank
know.
you.
Uh-huh. Okay. Any other questions? Christina, Eileen, Michael, Annabella, Priscilla, any one of you on your, if you're involved in athletics?
Miss Sandoval, I have another question. If we have an athletic award, but it was won as a team effort, do you still list it, although it was an individual?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Rosie, if they're in cheerleading, would they put that here?
Yes. They can either do cheerleading as athletic, or it can be on extracurricular.
Okay.
So you can decide as, you know, a student which you prefer.
Okay.
Because cheerleading athletic also. So again, it's up to you as a student. The key, remember that the reason we're doing this is because they don't know you. So you're drawing a picture of who you are, what your interests are, and how long, you know, you continued with that area that you were interested in. Okay, so if you don't have any questions on the athletic, and then like, for instance, think of this, like freshman year, maybe you were in, let's say you were in baseball and you were in the freshman team. So you would put that, and then the years you were in there. And then maybe you went on to varsity, or you went JV. So you would put junior varsity and then the year you participated. And then let's say you're currently in varsity, and then you would put varsity and then when you participated. And also think about athletics. Sometimes you may be picked to be a captain or a co-captain. So you list that again so that you can show who you are and how you were, it may be some as far as leadership positions. Okay, so underneath that, you would space, of course, 2 spaces, and then you put extracurricular activities. And that's EXTRACURRICULAR, extracurricular activities. So give me examples. Andrew, give me an example of an extracurricular activity you're involved in.
Extracurricular activity. Would Boy Scouts count as that? Is this anything?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, and remember in Boy Scouts, you have all sorts of things that you can start putting down, and I'll explain. How about you, Samantha?
Does Upward Bound count?
Oh yeah, that's a great program. Anabella?
Would Stuco count?
Oh, definitely. That's a biggie. All the that you have mentioned, you three are very good programs. How about you, Priscilla?
Miss Sandoval.
Yes.
This is Eileen. Can it be like a church, like since me and Charlie are like in a youth group and we do community service, we help around as much as we could. Can that be an extracurricular activity?
Yes, and some of that, underneath that, I'm gonna have you put volunteer service. Okay?
Okay.
So we're on extracurricular, and then underneath there, I'm gonna have you do volunteer service. So as we, you know, so extracurricular would be a member of what church?
St. Luke MC? UMC.
So you would put St. Luke Catholic Church, and what is that, UMC?
Oh, United Methodist Church.
Oh, okay. So you would put St. Luke United Methodist Church youth group, let's say. Okay, where was I? Alice?
Band.
Pardon me?
Band.
Yes, perfect. How about you, Michael?
Also band.
Perfect. Joaquin?
Student council.
Yes, definitely. Christina?
Altar serving at my church.
Perfect. And Charles?
Rosie?
Go ahead.
Should they all list Assisteens here too? There's only 2 that are not in Assisteens that are attending this.
Yes.
Or should they put that under volunteer?
It can fall either or, but on volunteer service, what's going to happen is they're going to put all the different activities that you've been doing in assisting.
Okay.
Okay, so their extracurricular is assisting, but underneath there, you're going to put the activities that you've been doing that are related to volunteering.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, shoot, I forgot where I'm at. Did I, Charles? What are you involved in?
Well, I already said gymnastics, but I do church stuff like Eileen.
Yeah, you need to put all of that, guys. This is really important. Don't minimize anything you're doing. How about you? And okay, Eileen, you said what? Church?
Youth group, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But are you involved in other things? I know the assisting.
School club that you took back the Opportunity Center idea too.
Oh, and also the Spanish Honor Society doing community service, and what did I say? I said because there's what's it called?
Youth group?
No, they also volunteer outside of the youth group, but with our church. So that's a separate, it's through the church, but it's a separate group, right? Kathy, wouldn't you say it's the Opportunity Center mission? It's cleanups around the church. It's
Yes, but I think Rosie's right. When you get to volunteer activities or whatever, that's where you're going to list the different things that you have helped with, like Opportunity Center or whatever.
Right. So basically,
but you're looking for.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I mean, but right now you're looking for groups that you are a member of, as far as extracurricular goes. The band, you know, like Andrew is a Boy Scout. Those kinds of groups. So I think what you're talking about, Amber, is Go ahead.
No, but they're lumping them in together, even though they're the same activity. But Eileen should put the Spanish club, even though that's part of Spanish Honor Society. She should put it under both, right? Because they're
Yes.
separate things.
Yes.
So what'll happen is you're putting the extracurricular activities. They're going to ask you what years you participated, and they're even going to ask you many times how many hours you put into that particular activity. They're going to ask you that, okay? So think from freshman year to where you are now. What happens a lot of times is we forget what we've done, you know, from ninth grade to where you are currently. And it's real important that you kind of go back. And that's why we're doing this, because this is real important, because once you start your application process. And then underneath there, you would skip 2 lines and write volunteer service. And that's what you all are talking about. And then definitely that's where you would put Assisteens Opportunity Center, and you know, and then it'll ask you to explain a little bit briefly what you did, like cleanup, and then it'll ask you how many hours you put in, and how many hours in a week. It'll ask you how many hours maybe in a year. Okay, so you have to be able to account for that.
But just to clarify, I'm sorry, the church might have been a bad example, but to clarify, Eileen would use Spanish Club. So she used Spanish Honor Society as an academic award. She would also use the Spanish Club as an extracurricular. And then the volunteer service that they did through Spanish Club, she would put that under volunteer service. She doesn't have to put that just in one spot. She would break it down under all those categories, right? Because she's trying to figure out one spot to put it, and that's not correct. She's going to break it down under all of those.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would, Rosie, this is Dee Kramer. For those of you who are juniors and who have been in Assisteens a while, I would encourage you to do exactly what Ms. Sandoval recommended. Look back over the years. Remember that we've participated with Braden Abood, the walk, we've donated blankets, so there's that volunteer activity or service that you could add. So think back over what we've done in Assisteens.
So what's going to happen is you're probably going to have to ask Mrs. Kramer or Mrs. Pearson, looking back to some of the activities and how much time you spent on that particular activity, and you briefly describe that activity. All of that is going to be asked of you when you do your application. And so you've got to, that's why we're doing the resume now, because you need to refresh your memory, because a lot of times students don't put it down and then they've forgotten what they've done. And so it's critical, because you're not just a student at the school, you're also doing other activities, and they want to see what you're doing with your time. Okay. So let's say I want to apply to a job, then of course you would add another category, and that would be skills, you know, that you have. But the way we're doing it right now is for applications for college. Okay. Do I have any questions on that? Anything you can think of? Okay, so that's your resume, which is really critical, because you're going to see that once you are starting your applications, they're going to ask you all that, and you have to be able to categorize it and do it in such a way so that they know who you are. Okay.
Miss Sandoval, I have a question. Sorry. Last year when COVID hasn't hit yet, I had a class and it was gym, and my teacher told me to step up to help the special needs kids since we had them. Does that come in anything extra activities or volunteer?
Yeah, you can include it. Mm-hmm. You can put it as volunteer service, if that, you know, the time you spent there helping the students there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Sandoval, would you include references at the end of your resume?
That's more like if you're applying for a job. But keep in mind references because we're going to talk about that too. Mhm. Okay. Any other question, anything that you can think of? This is really critical to be able to go back from freshman year to where you are now and really writing all that down because it's critical in helping for your applications for college.
Miss Sandoval, I have another question. So let's say a special like program or internship, something along those lines, are asking for a resume, we can curate this resume to reflect specific things they're asking for, correct?
Perfect. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you can put career, you know, after your the part where you put your name, address, all that. Underneath that, you could put your career goal, colon, and then what it is specific to whatever you're applying to. Okay, any other questions related to resume? So I recommend that you get this on Word, you know, whatever you've written. And so it's very neat. So that way, if you need it, it's available to you. And this helps you down the line as you continue on your journey, okay, through college. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'm gonna go into assessments. This is critical. So I have one 10th grader, right, Joaquin?
I think he's the only one.
So Joaquin, did you take a PSAT for 10th graders?
Yes.
Perfect. So you had to go into College Board, okay? So do you remember that? When you,
Yeah.
do you still have your username and password?
I'm not sure.
Okay, this is where students forget. Make sure if you know to see if you have your username and password. If you don't, you're gonna have to create another one because from here on, from 10th grade on, you need to access College Board, okay? All right. So PSAT 10, you got your scores, Joaquin?
Not yet.
Okay, so actually, if you go into College Board, you're gonna see your scores are there. Because when did you take it?
Probably like a month ago.
Yeah, so probably it'll be there, okay?
Okay.
All right. So going on to that, the rest of you, I'm assuming are 11th graders. So did you all take the PSAT NMSQT? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So did they ask you all to come back to school to take it? How did that work?
Well, we took it freshman year, and then last year they didn't give it to us. Wait, no, yeah, they did. And then 11th grade year, they asked some students to take it again.
But not everybody got to take it?
No, but 10th grade year, everybody did. And we were still at school at that time. I think we took it like in October.
Yeah, that's when you take it. I'm a little disappointed they didn't ask everybody to take it, the PSAT and MSQT, but that's okay. I know what they did. Okay, so for Joaquin, the PSAT and MSQT is going to be offered in October. Take it, okay? Be sure and take it. And you sign up, listen, you know, talk to your counselor, but be sure and register. You know, I don't know how the school is going to do it, if they're going to give it to everybody, or is it, you know, kids have to sign up for it. But you've got to become very friendly with that counselor and make sure you sign up for the PSAT and MSQT, okay? Critical. All right. So now the rest of you that are juniors, I need to know, have you signed up for your SATs or your ACT? And right now I'm going to concentrate only on SAT. Have you signed up or have you taken your SAT?
I took mine last Saturday because
Perfect.
our Go Center specialist sent out all the dates that they were offering the test, and
Yes,
she also offered us waivers.
yes.
So I took my first one last Saturday.
So I know that the district was talking about giving fee waivers to everyone, but I don't know if they did that. Keep in mind, fee waivers are critical if you qualify. But again, I don't know. I know that the schools were trying to push for all students to take it, and they were giving them a fee waiver. But again, or they were paying for it if you didn't qualify for a fee waiver for at least one SAT, okay, or ACT.
Miss
So,
Sandoval,
yes.
me and Charlie are taking our SATs on the 24th, which is a Wednesday.
Okay. And where are you taking that?
Hanks High School.
Okay, so I know that there's going to be, or I looked it up. So May 8th is supposedly the next SAT, and June 5th is the next, the one that follows after that. And for the May 8th, your deadline is in April, and that's why you're going to have to hook on the College Board. I'm going to tell you in a minute. And then the June 5th one, it has a May 6th deadline. You need to take it at least 1 or 2 times if you can. So if you took the March, you know, you don't like your scores, take it again in June. If you're scheduled, as you're saying, in a few days or whatever, then I would still schedule one in June. You're on, yeah, go ahead. You are muted.
I was saying thank you.
Oh, okay, you're welcome. All right, and the reason for that is it's critical for you to get your tests in now so you can see how you did. If you don't like your scores, we always tell students at least take it twice, or take the SAT and the ACT and see which one you like better, okay? So on the SAT, Ashley, you want to tell them what it covered?
The longest test in the world. So I got mine. I got a waiver. So my specialist told me to take advantage of it and request the essay. So, what it was is that it's kind of very similar to the PSAT. So each section is timed, and you have like reading, and then you have the editing, and then you have math, and then you have math with a calculator, and then you have, I think this is new since they took off the specialty test. There's like a random fifth section at the end where they give you a test that can be anything from reading, editing, math with a calculator. So it honestly just depends on what test you get because everybody's is different. And then the sixth section for me was the essay, and that one you pretty much have about an hour to write about a prompt that they give you.
Right.
And it's just about really just managing your time very wisely. My proctor was very nice, and she had the clock right in front of us, and she was writing down the time. So yeah, and then there's like small breaks in between, so I would take advantage of those to really sit up and walk around and drink water because the sections are long. So yeah.
So the whole thing, so you know, and what Ashley's talking about is you have what is called the reading test, and then you have the writing and language test component, and you have the math test, okay? And as she was saying, optional is the essay component, okay? So what they've done, SAT, is in all those tests, when you took your end of course exams, remember they gave you passages to read, okay? So what they've done now in those passages is they've included maybe something related to science or history or social studies. So they're incorporating that into the passages, okay? And they want to know, do you understand correct editing, as what Ashley was saying? Could you change the sentence so it sounds better? Or maybe, do you understand your vocabulary? So understanding that. So the scores range from 200 to 800, okay? And what they do is they combine the reading and writing as one score. So you will either get a total score ranging from 200 to 800, 800 being the highest, okay? And then in your math test, you also will get a score ranging from 200 to 800, okay? So a student can score anywhere from a total score of 400 to 1600, all right? So depending on the university you are applying to, and is more or less the average scores that you will see, okay? And we'll talk about that in a minute. But do you have any questions on the SAT and the scores?
Miss Sandoval, I plan on taking my SAT for a second time. I wanted to use this first time kind of as a benchmark to see where I'm at and get a feel for it. What sources or resources do you recommend we use to study and prepare for the SAT? What have you heard of, or what have you seen that really helps students?
So when you go into College Board, collegeboard.org, in there they have connected, they have, because they want students to do better, they are in conjunction with Khan Academy. Have you all heard of Khan Academy? KHAN Academy. Yes. Well, if you will connect your scores, like let's say your PSAT scores, to Khan Academy, they will do it to where it's individualized. So whatever your weaknesses were, you will work on that, okay? A lot of students do not take advantage of that. Khan Academy works so hard to try to help students, and College Board went ahead and partnered with Khan Academy so that way those scores would intertwine, so that way it will individualize for each student, and that way you can work on whatever your weaknesses are and improve on your strengths, okay? Does that make sense? So if you really want to get better, you do that. College Board also has practice tests on their website. So if you want to do that, you can do that also. They also have College Board, they have the question of the day. And so you would answer that question of the day. So there is so much there for students. It's just that students get caught up in other things that they don't take the time. You can improve your score a great deal if you will go into Khan Academy, okay? So definitely, if you want to improve that score, I would do the work that is involved, which is going into Khan Academy. Like I said, you go into College Board and you connect with Khan Academy, and it's there where you can connect, and they will help you so that you improve on your scores. Okay. Any questions on that?
Ms. Sandoval, you mentioned a fee waiver for the SATs. How much is the fee? Do you know?
Oh, I forgot already. I don't remember.
The SAT by itself is around $60. 50? With the essay, it's about more than $80.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Thank you.
So put collegeboard.org. Okay, collegeboard.org. All of you, because you've taken your PSATs, should already have a username and a password. You need to get in there. You have to get in there. Okay? Any questions on that? Annabella, Samantha, Michael, Priscilla, Elisa, any of you all, Andrew, do you have questions on that?
You know, you all should really listen here, because there was a time when there was no help. You just took it, and however it came out, that's the way it was. When Miss D and Miss Sandoval and I went to college, you know, you just, your score was your score. Then they started classes in high schools to help you. Then the Go Centers, then all this other, but that Khan Academy, like she said, my gosh, Ashley, I think it was you that asked the question. Based on your score, they're individualizing help for you. So as she said, it would be foolish not to take advantage of that resource that's out there. Okay, that's your lecture from me for the day.
And then once you, as you're deciding, because now's the time for you that are juniors as to what universities you're going to apply to, some of them require subject tests depending on your major. And, you know, it's very individual as to who you are and what you want to do in your future. Remember, in college, sometimes we say we're going to do something, we end up in another pathway. But I do want you to do a little bit of work, because you have to find out if you have to take a subject test. A lot of times, if I'm going into engineering or certain things related to science or math, they'll ask you to take the math subject test. So you also have to take that in consideration for future. So again, just keep that in mind. Some of the universities, if you haven't taken it, if you're accepted, then they'll give you a test at that time during orientation or prior, so that they'll see if you're at the level that they want you to be at, okay? But you've got to do your work there. So I'm just gonna throw that in. So I've talked about the SAT, and that's under collegeboard.org. Now we're gonna go into the ACT, okay? And remember, I told you for the SAT, the scores range from 200 to 800, okay? For each category. Now we're gonna go into ACT.org, okay? O-R-G, all right. So I was looking, and they have an April 17th ACT, and the deadline is March 26th, okay? And on the ACT, they ask you to download a photo of yourself. It has to be front, not side, a photo of yourself. And they do that for security reasons. They want to make sure that the person who is signing up is a person who's taking the assessment or the exam. And I noticed that Bel Air, Chapin, Americas, El Paso High, Socorro, they're all giving, and Loreto are giving the test in April. So if I were you, I would go ahead and sign up to take the ACT, okay? The ACT is divided into 4 categories. It's your English, your math, your reading, and your science, okay? So English, math, reading, and science. All right. So, and the ACT, you have 75 questions related to the English. In math, you have 60 questions. In reading, you have 40. And in science, 40. And I forgot to mention, it used to be where you were maybe penalized for wrong answers, but that's not what they're doing anymore. On the SAT and ACT, you are not penalized for wrong answers, okay? So they recommend you to answer all the questions and just make educated, help me with the word, Kathy. Educated guesses when you're answering the question, okay? Don't stay long on one. If you really don't know it, just go on, but they're not going to penalize you, okay? So they're looking at your right answers, okay? So on the ACT, your scores range from 1 to 36. 36, of course, being the highest, okay? And what they do is your total score on the ACT is a composite of those 4 areas, okay? So students may score a total of an 18 or a 21 or a 26 or higher, 32. So you understand that it's a little bit different from the SAT as far as the scoring, okay? Do I have any questions on that? Okay. All right. So on the ACT website, just like the SAT, you can log on to act.org and they have free ACT prep for you. So that way you can familiarize yourself with how the test is, okay? And in the April test, but you have to pay an extra fee. You can even order, and they'll give you a list of your answers, the multiple choice test questions, and the answer key. So that way you can see how you did, okay? So you can also do that for the April one. All right. I do want to also mention on the SAT, I don't know, Ashley, when you took it, do you remember if you answered yes to the student search service? What it asked you, do you want
That's
to?
only on the PSAT. Once you take the SAT, that's not an option anymore.
Okay, so I'm surprised. Okay, so on the PSAT, when you connect to the student search service, it allows you to connect with other universities. And so based on what your area of interest is, they start sending you booklets, catalogs, everything, or they start emailing you, trying to get you to get interested in their particular college or university. For the ACT, it's the Educational Opportunities Service, which also connects you to colleges and financial aid, okay? So any questions on ACT? Okay, so the reason I recommend that you take both is because you're gonna see which one you're more comfortable with, okay? And that helps a lot. I've had students that ended up getting a scholarship, maybe based on their ACT versus their SAT score, or vice versa, or maybe they did well on both. But you're not going to know until you try and see how you do. Okay.
Ms. Sandoval, a lot of universities have announced that for the class of 2022, they're waiving or becoming test optional. Do you still recommend we take the SAT and ACT?
Yeah, I do. For this incoming, the kids that are graduating this year, they're being very lax because they understand that you just couldn't get in to take the test. I think with the vaccines and all, there's going to be more opportunities to test, and I think you should take advantage and go ahead and do that, okay? Some of them take a more, depending on the schools you're applying to, take a more holistic approach, and they look at not just your SAT or ACT scores, they're looking at who you are, the type of student, what you've been involved with, how your grades are, the courses that you took, all of that is critical, okay? Now, for you juniors also, and Joaquin, it's important for you to understand this too. Some of the Texas schools in the past always wanted you to take the TSI. Do any of you know about that?
I think
Okay.
Charlie took it last year to get into the AP and dual credit classes, right? Am I thinking of the correct test?
Yes. So a lot of you have already done the TSI because you're taking upper level courses, or you're taking courses through El Paso Community College. And so they require that you take the TSI. And what the TSI is, are you college ready? Are you at that level to be taking college level courses? Some of you will need to take that and some of you will not have to take it, okay? There's exemptions to it. So I'm gonna tell you some of the exemptions, okay? So if you'll write this down. So if you've already taken it, don't worry about it. But if you are at a situation where you haven't had to take it, if on your ACT, you get a total, or they call it a composite score of a 23, and you get in your English score, which is your reading, writing combination, a 19, you will not have to take it in the, as far as the English level is concerned, because that means you're college ready to take the English courses that are required. Let's say you get a composite score again on that ACT and you get a 19 in your math. Again, you will be exempt. This TSI is only for Texas public schools, meaning universities or community colleges, okay? So TSI is something out of Texas. It's Texas Success Initiative, and it's testing for college readiness. So again, in your ACT, if you got a 23 as a composite and you get a 19 in the English, you would be exempt and you would be able to go on to take the English level for college. If you get a 19 in your math with a composite of 23, I'll repeat it again, you will be at college level math, okay? So you wouldn't have to take the TSI. On your SAT, if you got on the reading, writing a score of 480, that will exempt you. And for the math, if you get a minimum score of 530, that would exempt you. And so you wouldn't have to take the TSI, you just go on to your college level course, okay? Do you have any questions about that? Another exemption for the TSI is if you've taken 42 hours or less at EPCC, okay? All right, so any questions? I'll give you an example. My grandson is going to be going to a particular school and they had him take the AccuPlacer. The AccuPlacer is given everywhere else to test for college readiness. And they have the regular AccuPlacer and they have the next generation AccuPlacer. And he had to take the next generation AccuPlacer to see what level he was as far as college readiness, okay? So again, it's different for every school. Some of, Kathy told me some of you are applying, let's say, to a Johns Hopkins or a Harvard. Well, you're already going to be accepted based on those scores also, so you'll be already college ready. Does that make sense? So again, it depends on the college or university you're applying to. But I'm giving you this information on TSI simply so that you can know as far as Texas schools and some of the requirements, okay?
Okay.
Any questions on that? Okay. Have I made you all go crazy? Is it too much?
Are you still there?
All right, so it's the day of the test. Ashley talked about taking it and she gave you some really good advice. So the day before, get your calculator ready, your ticket. Ashley, was it online? Did you just show your phone? How did you do it for your ticket?
For my ticket, they don't accept digital, so you can't take it on your phone. You have to print it out.
Exactly. So you have your test ticket ready. So you've got your calculator. It's an approved calculator. And they have which calculators are approved, your ticket, your sharpened pencils, and your photo ID. Okay. Oh my goodness. I can tell you how many times we would be administering the SAT or ACT and the kids would go, oh, I forgot my ID. Well, without that ID, you couldn't go in. Okay. So make sure you double check the date, the time, location, so that you know you can be there on time. Okay. Arrive 20 to 30 minutes early. So that way you're ready to go. If you have to go to the restroom or you got to do whatever you got to do, and get plenty of sleep the night before. Okay. The day of the test, don't forget everything that I told you to take, your calculator, your test ticket, your pencils, and your photo ID. Wear comfortable clothes, relax, deep breathing, listen to the instructions and focus, 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 focus. And choose the best answer, it's educated answer, and answer every question and pace yourself. And don't forget, some of you may have Apple Watches. No Apple Watches. You can't have an Apple Watch. Okay. Any questions on the day of the test or anything you need? Okay.
Ms. Sandoval, Charlie was asking if mechanical pencils are allowed.
It's preferable not to take mechanical pencils. You're better with the regular number 2 pencils. Okay. All right. So here we go. I've taken my SAT, I've taken my ACT, and now I'm going to apply to college, okay? Now you can still apply to colleges, but they need those ACTs and SAT scores. And remember, in the you're going to have SATs and ACTs. Let me tell you. There's going to be another. So remember, SAT, I told you, is May 8th, June 5th. They're anticipating an August one and then an October one. You all should already be through by October on your testing, okay? It depending, again, on the schools you're applying to, but for the most part, you wanna get those tests in now, okay? And so for ACT, they had the April 17th and June 12th. And I could not find the ones that are coming after that, okay? So that's where you all come in. You have to know your deadlines. Deadlines now are critical, okay? Because if you miss that deadline for the ACT or SAT, and they have a late one, but you have to pay extra for that. So you've got to watch your deadlines, okay? So how do I apply to colleges? Did any of you all get introduced to Big Future? Any of that? No? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, good. Joaquin, have you been introduced to Big Future through the College Board?
Yes, I have.
Good. So Big Future is a great site to be able to put in your areas of interest. You can look up as far as colleges that have those areas of interest. It talks to you about majors. I mean, it goes on and on. There's so much information on the College Board website, which they use through Big Future, and then the ACT website. Lots and lots of things that you all can take advantage of. But it's up to you to do that work, okay? So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is, have you all heard of Apply Texas? Okay, cool. So if you are applying to a Texas public school, you would go ahead and go into applytexas.org, O-R-G. And that's for your Texas public universities and your 2-year schools. Now, a lot of you are familiar with it because you're taking upper level courses, right? Is that correct? That you went into Apply Texas. But that was through El Paso Community College, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anybody take the UT Austin courses that are being offered?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you have to go, did you have to go into that site? No, right? They just,
No, ma'am.
right. So Apply Texas, some of you already have your password and your username. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Charles, have you had to go into Apply Texas?
I think so.
It sounds familiar.
Okay.
We signed up our sophomore year. We all sophomores signed up for it.
Oh, okay, okay. So I just want to make sure. So you then were given a username and a password that you use. And I don't know, do y'all have that?
I think, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. ma'am.
Okay. So that's what you want to make sure, because what happens is it'll take you, are you applying to a two-year community college, or are you going to a 4-year? So you're going to click on the 4-year, right? So help me out. What are any of you already know kind of some of maybe the Texas public universities you're interested in? Okay.
Texas Tech.
Okay, go ahead. Texas Tech. Who else?
UT Austin.
Okay, UT. Anybody else? Alice, Michael, Christina, Andrew, Samantha, Priscilla, help me.
Speak up.
UTEP.
Okay, UTEP. Who else?
I was looking into Rice, but that's a private university.
That's fine. Good. All right. You all may agree with me or disagree with me. I don't know. We always tell students to apply to the University of Texas at El Paso. Always. And the reason being is you don't know what kind of financial aid you're going to get, or you don't even know what kind of opportunities that UTEP may offer you that are right up your alley, okay? So don't dismiss UTEP. I tell kids, well, some kids will say, well, I don't want to be at home. Okay, well then go to the dorms. Go to the dorms at UTEP if that's something you want to do. But they have some incredible things going on at UTEP. So don't dismiss UTEP. Always apply to UTEP. They have, I forget the name of it. It's a bridge something. It's phenomenal. Students got accepted into that program, and they're working in conjunction with Rice, with UT Austin. They're doing research, phenomenal things. But you're not going to know that if you don't apply, okay? So I always tell students, apply to the University of Texas at El Paso, number one. Number two, Texas Tech, UT, Texas A&M, any of those bigger schools also. Students have gotten quick about applying now. Students are applying now in August, okay? We usually wait, kids were waiting usually when they got back to school, but now in August, kids are applying. So you have kids who are quick on the draw and are saying, this is what I want to do. And so they're applying already. So that's why I'm trying to get you all to take your tests, your ACT, your SAT, so that you have ready, and that way you can apply to these universities, okay? It's
Ms.
critical.
Sandoval, sorry, I have a question. Do you recommend, I know you heard you talking about those early applications. Do you recommend early action, early decision? Because I know it's like a binding agreement that if you get in, you have to go. Do you recommend doing that?
For the most part, no. And the only, see, and I was going to talk to you all about that. So early action is different than early decision. Early decision is binding. Like, I want to go to Harvard, and if Harvard accepts me, I'm going to Harvard, period. Okay? It's binding. Early decision is binding. You're saying, this is the only school I want to go to. You tie yourself in. Okay? But early action is you're applying early and you're saying, look at me, this is the school I really want to go to, okay? And I'll talk a little bit more at length about that, but you see that more with private universities, okay? For UT Austin, they have what is called priority deadline, and you applied by November 1st. Regular admission or deadline is December 1st, but a lot of kids, like I'm telling you, few years back, you have to understand I'm retired now, but a few years back when we went to the presentations by A&M and UT, they were talking about these kids are really, wanting to go there. So they're applying early on. And they like doing that, a lot of the kids, because then they don't have to worry about it, because, senior year it's my senior year, it's my last year. There's all these emotions tied into it. So it's good to get all that going as best as you can, okay? So if you're going to do a Texas public school, you have time, like for Texas Tech, but UT and A&M, they're pretty competitive, and a lot of kids are applying much earlier than they did in the past. Okay, so that way you know that. So if that's the school you want to go to, make sure that you don't wait to apply. And so that's why we're kind of doing that right now, so that you at least are familiar with the application process, okay? So there's 3 different types of applications, but I'm concentrating right now on Apply Texas, okay? So those of you that have already done it, you put in your profile, which was the first page. And the first page asked you to put in your name, your email address, your permanent address. Please, on your email address, make sure that's an email that you're going to continue using throughout, because that's how they contact you, okay? And if you need to change that on your profile, be sure and change that. For those of you who have not gone on to applytexas.org, make sure all that information on that first page is complete and accurate, because they're going to ask you, your date of birth, place of birth, your grade level, U.S. citizen, emergency contact, which would be one of your parents. So you need to get their phone number, in case you don't know it, whatever, their cell number. But just so you know, okay? So some of these schools like UT Austin, A&M, they require you to complete an essay. And they will tell you, do topic A, for instance. So whatever that essay prompt is, you need to do it. And it'll tell you how many words. For instance, for UT Austin, it's 500 to 700 words, okay? And you want to make sure you have somebody who's an English teacher, someone who's very proficient in it, to look at your essay before you submit, because you want that essay to be who you are, but at the same time that it's, as far as the essay itself, your punctuation, you don't have run-on sentences, all of that is critical when you submit your essay. Do I have any questions on that? Okay. Samantha, do you know anything about the top 10% rule? Have you heard of that?
I believe you get scholarships or something in that regards if you're in the top 10%.
So if you're in the top 10% of your class, you get automatic acceptance into any Texas public university. The catch, so you understand, is that some of the universities are specific. They will accept you, but it doesn't necessarily mean you'll get into the major that you want, okay? So when they look at major, they're also looking at your scores, they're looking at the courses you took in high school, all of that combined. to make sure that, yes, you can get into that major. Like for instance, in UT Austin, to get into the business program, it's pretty tough. So you have to meet certain qualifications beyond being in the percentage. Okay, so I said top 10%, right? But UT Austin, they accept the top 6%, okay? And the reason being, they want to have a diverse group of students. And if they accepted all the kids top 10%, they wouldn't have room for those students who are good students, but maybe they're not in the top 10% of their class. Because maybe you're going to a smaller school that only has 100 students and you're in the top 10%, versus a school that there's 500 graduating, and maybe you're in the top 11 or 12% and you couldn't get in that way. So anyway, that's why UT Austin does top 6%. The other ones still have at the top 10%. Do you have any questions about that? Okay. All right. So that one was, again, I'll repeat it, applytexas.org. Okay, applytexas.org. Any questions on that? All right. Now, some of you put, I don't know, like Johns Hopkins, Duke, some of these other very private universities, okay? So you can go into their website and get more information as to what's the average scores, the SAT or ACT scores of those students. Other things, characteristics that they look at, just to get a feel of what that school is looking for. Remember that each one of you is unique unto yourself, okay? And so all of you will be accepted to a college or university. It's just, some kids have dreams of, oh, well, I only want to go to this one school, and that doesn't happen for them, and they're brokenhearted. But like I tell students, don't do that to yourself. As long as you're going to college, a university, you do the best you can, take advantage of everything that's there, you're going to do just fine, just fine. I can tell you of so many cases of students who went to certain public schools and universities, got their degrees, and are doing just fine, okay? So don't get caught up on, oh, I have to go to this particular school. I have to. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying don't get caught up on that. Does that make sense? Okay. So you have other universities that require you to complete. Remember that the Apply Texas was specific to Texas. So another one is called the Common Application. Have you heard of that? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So Common Application is 900 colleges and universities that are tied into that application process, okay? So it's commonapp.org. So it's common, COMMONAPP.org. So commonapp.org. I hope all of you are writing that down. So you have to create your account again, just like you did with the Apply Texas, in order to apply to certain universities, okay? All right, has any, let's see, Michael, have you heard of the Common App?
I don't think so.
Okay. Christina, have you heard of the Common App?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Samantha?
No.
Okay. Andrew?
No, I have not.
Okay. So this gives me just a feel as to where you all are at. So it's going to ask for, when you all do your SAT, ACT, it asks for a CEEB code. Do you all know what a CEEB code is? Okay, that's the high school code. So if I go to Bel Air, Bel Air has a 4-digit code. If I go to Coronado, Coronado has a 4-digit code. So you need to check with your counselor, or you can ask, trying to think of who else. But anyway, your counselor will know your CEEB code, okay? Because you need that for your SAT, ACT, maybe. I'm trying to remember. But definitely for the common application, it's going to ask for your CEEB code, which is your school code, okay? They're going to ask for your GPA, your class rank. That's why we did all that for the resume, okay? It's going to ask for your courses. What courses are you taking currently as a 12th grader? Not as an 11th grader, but once you go into 12th grade, what courses are you taking, okay? So all of this for your Common App opens up August 1st, okay? August 1st is when it opens up for you to go ahead and go into this common application to apply for specific universities, okay? So outside of Texas, oh, somebody mentioned Rice. Rice will take the Common App, okay? Give me some other universities that you all are thinking out, private in Texas or other schools outside of Texas.
Brown.
Okay, so Common App.
What about New Mexico?
New Mexico, just go ahead and go on to New Mexico's website.
The U of A College of Medicine.
U of A, I'd have to check. I don't remember if it's Common App, but I would check, okay? And go into their website, and then it'll tell you which application. Some of them allow you to do their application, okay? But what's cool about Apply Texas is, let's say once I complete the Apply Texas, do the essays, that information, I can send it to UT Austin, A&M, Texas Tech, some of the, I can't think right now, Texas State University. So the public universities, you just can, because you already have filled out all that information. So now you just send it out to those schools. You don't have to redo it. In the old days, you had to do it for each school. Now it's all, that information is all online that you've put in, and now you can send it to all these different schools. Does that make sense? Okay. So I ask you to go into commonapp.org, and it'll list all the universities that require the Common App, okay? So let me think of things there. So in the Common App, it's a little different because they only allow you to list 10 activities that you've been in, okay? So you get the best 10 activities. And maybe you're not in 10 activities, which is great, fine. They just want to see that you're a student who has applied themselves and is dedicated to the activities that you're involved in, okay? So, and academic honors, they only allow you to list 5, okay? With the common application, Kathy can tell you a little bit more about that, but you have what are called recommenders, okay? And so that can be either a teacher, or it can be a coach, someone who knows you well that can write about you, okay? So you're going to have to ask that person, and you have your resume in hand, and you give them your resume, and you ask them if they could please be your the recommender, okay? And that person who's a recommender has to go into the website, the Common App. They have to be able to complete all the information that is asked of them. In addition, your counselor also is going to have to complete information themselves that is asked of that university of you, okay? So it's a little bit more work on the common application. So you have to become familiar with it. And remember, whether it's Apply Texas or the Common App, you can save it, stop, and then do the other things that you need to do. For instance, the recommender, asking that person, and then go ahead and continue in the process. But until you get in there, you're not going to understand what I'm saying until you're in there. Okay, does that make sense? But you can always save your information and go back to it. Okay, you don't have to do it in one sitting. So you got to make sure you take your time and do it correctly. So that way, when you submit it, it's exactly the way you want it to be. Okay. Also, they'll ask for mid-year reports on the from the counselor. So you have to keep on top of it, because you have to make sure that these other individuals that you're asking to do this for you, that they too are doing what you're asking them. Think of a teacher who's really popular and the kids like a lot, and she has to do 30 of these. They're very time consuming. So you need to ask early so that you're not asking them right before in December or November, let's say, and they're saying, well, I don't have time to do it for you. Okay. So you don't want to be putting yourself in that situation. You want to get this early on, asking them to be a recommender, having your resume ready, giving them your resume so that they know all these things. Any questions about that? I know it's a lot of information, but these are critical in order to, because some of the schools that you're interested in. Any questions? So again, I'll repeat, you need to decide who, if you're going to be applying to some of these schools that require the common application, who you're going to ask to be your recommender, who can speak of you, give a nice recommendation to help you get into that particular university.
Ms.
Okay?
Sandoval, in the case of recommenders, is more better or is one sufficient?
No, they ask only for a specific one. So they have to decide, the students, who they want. Okay? All right. And I tell students, if you're in the Isleta district, you have Go specialists. Get to know that Go specialist. Let them get to know you very well, because they're going to guide you through the process. If you're in the El Paso district, I don't think they have the Go centers. Do get to know your counselor. That counselor needs to know you, because they're going to be writing letters of recommendation for you. And a lot of times they'll write the one, and then that'll be submitted to the school, that one particular letter. They're not going to be writing a bunch of letters, different letters for you. So you've got to make sure that counselor gets to know who you are as a person, so that they can really speak about you and your strengths. Okay. So we talked about Apply Texas. Now we did the common application. Well, guess what? They threw in another one. And this one is called Coalition for College Application. Have any of you heard of that one? Good. Okay. So Coalition, it's COALITION, Coalition for College, and then write this word, access, ACCESS.org. So it's Coalition for College Access.org. If you want me to repeat it, just unmute yourself and let me know, please. Okay. So guess what this group of people decided they felt that a lot of students were not getting access the way they needed to be able to apply to specific universities. Some of these are like the Rice, the Harvard, Columbia, which you can do through college application. But the Coalition for College, what they did is it was a group of people who decided in the universities that they weren't getting enough diverse people, like first generation, like let's say your parents didn't get to go to college and you really are headed in that direction and weren't getting the proper information that you needed in order to apply. So what they started is this Coalition for College application or website, so that you can start your freshman year putting in your activities, putting in photos, videos, things that you've accomplished. You can give this to your counselor so that your counselor can oversee how you're doing, or to a particular teacher, and they can help you with your essay. So when you're writing it your junior year, they can help edit for you, not write it for you, but help edit in editing. And they just felt that a lot of students were waiting too long and not applying to these harder to get into universities, let's say. So they went ahead and started another application process because they felt that this was another avenue to get students into their colleges or universities, okay? So it's coalitionforcollegeaccess.org. And it's divided into 3 or 4 areas. It's My Coalition Locker. So if you go in there and it says My Coalition Locker, that's all the stuff. It's kind of like you're keeping it in a locker, your activities, volunteer service, all of that. So it's all in there. So you basically are starting your resume that way. The other one is your collaboration space, meaning something you can invite people to look into your what you've been up to. And then My Coalition Counselor is for your counselor to have access again to the work that you've been doing. And then it has the application there set up for you. And so some of these top schools also are like your Harvards and Princeton, Rice, are also saying you can go ahead and do it through the college the Coalition for College application. So let's say I want to go to Rice. I can either do the application through Coalition for College, or I can do it through the Common App. Have I confused you all? I'm telling you, it just, again, the whole reason for this is because a lot of the top universities are finding that they are not getting the diverse population that they really want. They want people from El Paso to be able to go to a Duke or a Princeton or a Harvard or these other universities, Stanford, that are a little bit more difficult to get into. And so that's why they created this other website for students, so they can start from their freshman year, putting in this stuff, setting up their resume, doing all of that, so that it's already in place. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. And Ms. Sandoval, when we're talking about diverse students, are they also looking for students who deal with learning disabilities?
It depends on the schools, okay? Like, for instance, I'll talk to you, like, it depends on the needs of the student, okay? So I can't answer that. Like, let's say they're very artistic, may have difficulty with reading, but very artistic, and they want to be in art, they will look at that maybe. But like, for instance, Schreiner College in Texas is specific for students with learning disabilities. And they have their IEPs, and so they help the students specifically based on whatever their needs are. So again, it depends on the university, the student, and what their needs are. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So going back to fee waivers, if you get a fee waiver for your SAT or ACT, you can use your fee waivers for the colleges you're applying to. Make sure and utilize that, because, you know, let's say UT Austin, to apply, it's $75. If I want to do Rice, if I want to do this other school, so that adds up. So again, fee waivers means you qualify for assistance in that way, so that you don't have to pay that fee, and yet it gives you the opportunity to be looked at, to be accepted into that particular school. Okay, so fee waivers, guys. It's, let's say I'm on free or reduced lunch, you qualify for fee waivers. Okay, so that way you understand that. Do I have any questions on that? Okay, so let's see.
Kramer, I just want to emphasize with all of you how important the strategies are that Ms. Sandoval has shared with you for collecting and keeping track of your resume, your scores, everything that you're going to need for this application. Those resources and strategies are so important. So thank you.
Okay, so can you scroll down? Okay. Go ahead. Wait, before you scroll down, do you see right here where it says enter college name? You would put the college name and then it would tell you. Okay, so that way you know if you need to do the Common App. Okay, can you continue? Okay, stop there. See, the world is ready for you. Be ready for the world. And then it has a video, so that way, you know, again, what's available to you. Go ahead and scroll down. Okay, do you see right here it says plan for your future? Again, you can look at those and that'll help you also. Okay, keep going down. Okay, and then it gives you the guide. And you would click on first year student guide. Go ahead, keep going. And then it even has the blog. And then if you'll keep going down. Okay, right here, Ms. Johnson, will you click on where it says access counselor resources? Okay, so then go ahead and scroll down. Okay, do you see, let me see. Do you see where it says Common App Ready? If you'll click on that. Okay, and then scroll down. Okay, see where it says resources? It tells you, you watch the video, what is the Common App? And then keep scrolling. It says how the first year Common App works. Application dictionary, Common App, well, you don't need that one, just those three. Then go ahead and keep scrolling down. And then do you see how it says preparing your application, gathering your materials? So it even tells you what materials do you need. Okay, keep going. My college requirements worksheet. And then high school details information. So everything's there for you. Keep scrolling. Okay, telling your story, approaching the activities section. Okay, keep going. All right, right here, stop. Where it says how to approach the essay, will you click on that one? Okay, this is critical for you all to use this. Right here on the left, it says, some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent so meaningful, they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, please share your story. So that's a prompt, okay? An essay prompt. On the right, on the green, it says, think about your community, environment, family, and culture, what you're deeply curious about, what makes you proud. So they're giving you ideas in how to write that prompt. If you look at the blue boxes, and on the left is another prompt, okay? The lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? And then it gives you ideas, again, to help you in the essay. So the reason I had Mr. Nelson take you here is because there's 7 prompts, and then it gives you ideas how to write that. So that way you can decide on which essay you want to write about, okay? Do I have any questions on that? Because you're gonna see that these questions or these prompts you might find on the Applied Texas also. Reflect on a time, okay, when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome? Okay. And then another prompt. Describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. Okay, so it looks again at you as a person. You know, are you a doer? So it gives them insight into who you are based on the essay prompt you choose and how you write about it. Okay. All right. So I just wanted you to see that because I think it's critical for you all to look at these things to help you in writing your essay. Because if you're applying to UT Austin or if you are applying to some of the schools that you said, you're going to have to do an essay prompt. And so you need to really think about it and get your teacher, somebody that you trust, who can help you in your essay writing, okay? So any questions on that?
I think again here, it's like Dee said about the rest of this. These aren't the kinds of things that you wait till the deadline is a week away for applying and then try and, you know, write some astounding essay, get somebody to write you a recommendation. These are things you need to be doing now to get ready for your senior year so that your senior year is not so stressful that you put all this off and then that's all you can take care of. So I hope all of you take this to heart and start thinking, who would be somebody who could write a really good recommendation for me? Look at these prompts for these essays. Which one really applies to something that I can do a good job writing about? And that's what Ms. Sandoval's trying to get you to see is you need to look ahead. And I know some of you have, but not everybody does this. And then at the last minute, you're trying to cram it all in. So I hope that you will look back at these things when we're through and start thinking about them.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, so again, if you all will go to the commonapp.org and then you go to the counselors and recommenders, if you want to write that down. And then you click on the box that said Common App Ready. Then you'll get to that part that I showed you on the essays, okay? So that way, and there's much more when, as I was showing you, it tells you step by step how to do this. And I went into that part as far as the counselors because it also helps you in as to what we need to know as counselors in helping students, okay? And it's a really good resource for you. Okay. Any questions before Mr. Nelson gets out of there? Okay. All right, Mr. Nelson, I think we're good. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go back to a critical question Ashley was talking about. Some of these schools do ask, these are again, your colleges that are harder to get into. They have what is called early action. And these are students who do their applications early on, and they do early action. So they get, whether they're accepted or not, earlier than those kids who apply for regular admission deadlines. Excuse me. So let's say regular admission deadline is December 1, okay? But early action is, let's say, well, actually it's January 1. Okay, so let's say regular admission is January 1, but early action is in December. So if you submitted it prior to that, let's say December 1 or before that, then they look at those applications before, and then they get a group of students that they accept early, okay? That's why it's called early action, okay? It's not binding, but at least you know, hey, I got accepted. Let's say you don't get accepted. A lot of times they'll put that into the group of kids regular admission. Does that make sense? These are like what we call your dream schools, schools that you really want to get into, that are harder, more competitive, okay? Ashley talked about early decision. That's a hard one because basically you're applying to that school, you feel you've looked at them, you know, I meet the criteria for the SAT or the ACT, I have real good grades, I've taken difficult courses, I'm actively involved. And this is, like you're saying, this is my dream school. This is, if I get accepted, I'm going there, period. Okay? So we don't recommend that you do that very often, early decision, unless it's something that you really, 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 really want. Does that make sense? Because you won't know what financial aid package you got on that school until they accept you, okay? So that's early decision, okay? So most kids will do the early action or the regular, but if they're difficult schools, do the early action even before the regular deadline, if you really want to go to that school. But like I tell you, we have had some kids who do early decision and they've been able to do it that way, but it's not true for everybody, okay? And basically they're saying, this is the school you want to go to, period. Okay. So what else was I going to tell you? So like, for instance, somebody said Johns Hopkins, their early decision is in November. They have an early decision. Okay, so early decision 1 is in November. So you have to get everything in November in hopes that you get accepted. If you don't get accepted on that round, then they put you, like I said, into the other group of students that are applying either regular decision or early decision 2.
There you go.
Okay, and so let me see, you clicked on students already. Let me see. Graduation and career readiness. Where is it? Okay, you're already there. Go ahead and scroll down. Let me see. No, it's not there. Oh, no, go ahead, scroll. I'm trying to remember. No. Okay, so go ahead and go back up. All right, let me see if I can remember. Graduating, let's see. Well, if you'll notice on the left, guys, just so you know, it talks about the career pathways, which you all are familiar with, because all of you are in a career pathway. It talks about graduation requirements, graduation plans. And then when you click on the SAT and PSAT, it clicks you onto the College Board website. Okay. Well, actually here, it's getting you into the test dates and deadlines, SAT practice, PSAT practice, okay? And if you'll look on the left, do you notice where it says scholarships? So Isleta District is doing a good job in really getting you to look at the different scholarships that are available. But if you'll click on Go Centers, right there, Mr. Nelson. Okay, go ahead and scroll down. Okay, those of you that are in the Isleta District, you need to utilize these people. That's what their job is. It is specifically there. They are there to help you with your application, your applications, taking your SATs, scholarships. Please, please, please utilize these people. That's why they are there. So those are your Go Center specialists. Make sure, write it down, who they are. And if you're in the Isleta District, and call them, email them, visit them if you can go into the school. Do what you need to do in order to utilize their expertise on applying to colleges, okay? Do I have any questions on that? All right. I think I have kids, Kathy, I have kids that are in the El Paso School District, is that correct?
Yes, 3 or 4 of them.
So it's tough because, they are a little bit more, you just go into the episd.org, you'll click on students, and then they have college applications also and scholarships. But you can cheat. I mean, I don't have any problem with it. You can go to the YSD and they have a slew of scholarships also. So you can look at the scholarships there, okay? Does that make sense? There's nothing wrong with you going to the other websites to see what they've posted as far as scholarships. So that way you have that opportunity, okay? Because you want to get as much information as you can for yourselves, okay? So, yeah, let me see. Oh, do you see up here, Mr. Nelson? It says on the upper right, it says parents, students, staff, click on students. And another thing about EPISD is you all have your own IDs and passwords that I don't have access to because it's individual to you all. So you all can kind of utilize things or access things that I couldn't, okay? But because you guys have the student portal. But if you'll go ahead, do you see, let me see, where did I see for them? College readiness, I think. Let's try this one, college, career, and military readiness. Basically, that's why I'm saying, I think you can see how it says career exploration, college applications, college entrance exams. Be sure and utilize whatever is there for you. It says scholarship databases, scholarships, test prep. So again, utilize what's there for you all. Students forget to do that. And, you know, somebody has taken the time to get you all to look at these sites so that you can take advantage of it. All right, any questions on that?
I think they're wearing down.
Yeah, I know that. That's why I just am wanting them to see it.
Yeah.
And there's so much information. It's really hard. And what I thought is Mrs. Pearson and Ms. Kramer, if in the future, maybe in 2 months, we can talk about financial aid and scholarships, but really a lot of that information is there that I've given them. The key for you all to remember is you've got to take your SAT, ACT, and you've got to look at those schools that you're applying to. Look at Big Future. Another website is careeronestop.org. And if you'll go into your school's website, it has all these different websites that you all can access. On the College Board, Big Future, if you're still undecided on schools, if you look at majors, it gives you all the different schools and universities that have those majors that you're interested in. Utilize what's there for you. People have really taken the time. College Board and ACT are working all the time because their thing is they want to be able to get kids to apply to the schools. Okay. Any questions? I hope that this helped you all. I hope that at least it gives you information. Information is power, honestly. The more information you have, the better it is for you in understanding the process. Okay?
Miss Sandoval, I can't imagine the time you put into prepping this. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. I hope it helps. I know it's a lot. I hate that it's so much, but that's just the reality.
The way you broke it down, what made it so much less overwhelming, even for me as a parent. So it was super helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And good luck to all of you, And Joaquin, you still have time. You're a 10th grader, if I'm correct. And so you can take advantage and do what you need to do to keep on in this journey, okay? And so good luck.
Joaquin has a good example because it's his older brother that just got his appointment to West Point. And I don't think he started that, just a month ago. I think that's been an ongoing process. And I think that's what Ms. Sandoval is trying to tell all of us, but you all in particular. You can't wait till the last minute, and you have to be actively involved in this process. You can't wait for somebody to come and say, here's a scholarship. You need to fill this out. You could be looking at them now, even if you can't apply right now, and saying, oh, I probably would qualify for this one, because as she said, they're online for you to look at. They're on the ISLETA website. They're on EPISDs. So especially those of you who are at home and may be at home the rest of the year, you have extra time because you're not getting to do a lot of the things you would have otherwise. So use that time so that next year you kind of have a head start and you know where you're going and what you want to do, or at least you've taken steps in that direction.
And don't forget, please, please apply to UTEP. You have no idea the money that they are getting for research, phenomenal research, and all the programs that they have. Those students who want to go into law school, they have a prep program that is phenomenal, and kids are getting into wonderful law schools. So that's why I always tell kids apply. And a lot of when I was there, we had all the kids apply to UTEP simply because we wanted that door to be open because it's here in El Paso. But of course, if you want to go to an MSU or, some of you, one of the things to remember is we have dream schools. You put 2 dream schools, 2 middle schools, and 2 schools based on your GPA rank and all of that, that you can get into. And that's the best way to do it, to help you as you continue on this journey. Okay? All right.
I think for everybody that attended today, because Ms. Sandoval took us step by step through especially the resume getting that information down, SAT, ACT, and then these resources for exploration. So I think the question really is, what's next step for me? If I've already done, have a resume, can I look back at what Ms. Sandoval said, review mine, see how I need to improve it, tweak it to really make it powerful? Do I need to explore some of these resources, especially the commonapp.org? Oh my gosh, all the information that's there. What's the next step for each of you as you review your notes and think about your journey? What's the next step for you?
Exactly.
And Rosie, we cannot thank you enough. As Amber said, oh my gosh. And you all know we did this because we felt so bad that you were not at school for all this time. And some of this that maybe counselors at your school would have worked with you on, Go centers that, you know, that's just not there. So we are so grateful to you, and that we hope one day that you will help us with Assisteens so we can show you how grateful we are. No, but seriously, you've done a wonderful job. I even learned something, lots of things. So very good.
Okay, well, you all take care and just keep on that journey.